My name is Ethan. I'm 33, the oldest kid, the one who learned early that being useful was the safest way to be loved. I'm the guy who rewires the porch light, drives mom to her appointments, and shows up with a toolbox before anyone asks. Twice. I'm also raising two kids alone, Ivy, 7, who draws dragons wearing business suits, and Milo, 4, who is convinced the streetlights blink in Morse code just for him. I do maintenance and electrical work for the local school district. Steady hours, thin paycheck, routine I built with my own 2 hands. I keep our apartment small on purpose. Small means I can control it. In my family, small also meant forgettable. I let that be true for a long time. The spotlight in our house always found my younger brother, Derek. He walks into a room and people rearrange their chairs for him. My mother calls it charisma, like he was issued his own stage lighting at birth. My father used to say family works like a shared bank account. Everyone just makes deposits. Then he walked out when I was 20, and the account stayed open with my signature still on it. I learned that nodding was cheaper than arguing. When Mom said, "Just be listed on this account with me, only so we can handle paperwork if your father resurfaces," I nodded. When she said, "Front the money now, I'll pay you back later," I nodded and picked up overtime shifts. When Derek said, "You're good with logistics, you don't mind," I nodded and drove and lifted and covered the bill. That's how a childhood turns into an adulthood, being helpful until it becomes your whole personality. The background sun, the reliable outlet everyone plugs into. It was a Tuesday night in December, the kids at the table decorating paper reindeer with glitter glue while I worked on a batch of gingerbread rolls shaped like little snowmen. New tradition, our apartment, our pace. Milo insisted the kitchen table was an ice rink and skated a toy truck across it. Ivy asked if extra frosting counted as a vegetable. My phone buzzed next to the fruit bowl. Derek. His contact photo was from when we were kids. Me in a hand. Me down jacket. Him grinning with cake on his face. It hit that specific mix of nostalgia and dread. "Hey," I answered. He exhaled like I'd kept him waiting on purpose. "Logistics," he said. "Mom says you're hosting Christmas. Fine, whatever, but I need you to send me your account number or add me as an authorized user, whichever's faster." I actually laughed, not because it was funny, because my brain short-circuited. "My account number?" "Ethan," he said. Slow, like I was slow. "Don't make this weird. I'll cover the gifts and just pay myself back later. No back and forth." "You're not getting my login," I said. "Then add me to the account." "Same result," he snapped. "Not happening." He let the silence sit, then cut through it. "Fine. Send me your account number, or you and the kids are skipped for Christmas." Something in me that had been bent for 30 years finally snapped straight. "Then we're skipped," I said, flat, calm. "You're seriously doing this?" he said, almost delighted by the drama. "I'm seriously doing this," I said, and hung up before he could turn my no into a negotiation. Ivy looked up from her glitter glue. "We're still doing the snowman rolls, right?" "Absolutely," I said. Milo drove his truck straight through a snowbank of powdered sugar and sneezed so hard his dinosaur pajamas jumped. I wanted the story to stop right there, a clean boundary and a lesson learned. But my family doesn't respect a line. They treat it like a dare. I rinsed the mixing bowl, put the kids to bed, and sat at the counter with a legal pad. At the top I wrote, "New rules," and felt both ridiculous and relieved. That was the first spark. The ask, the boundary, the calm refusal. I had no idea that by morning the conversation would move from asking to taking. I had no idea a number would show up on my banking app with a memo line built like a taunt. I didn't know the calls would pile up. The knocking would start, or that I'd end up rekeying an entire apartment like I was running from something. But every explosion starts with a fuse, and mine was years of small yeses mistaken for love. I never planned on raising 2 kids solo. Ivy was 2 when her mother, Priya, sat across from me at our kitchen table and said, "I can't keep white-knuckling this." We were 25, exhausted in a way that made fighting pointless. So we wrote our care into a custody schedule instead of a courtroom battle. We split time, kept the kids' school stable, learned to co-parent like teammates instead of opponents. That wasn't failure. That was survival with some dignity attached. My family didn't see it that way. In their version, I lost because I couldn't hold a family together. In their version, Derek won because he married young and posts vacation photos that look staged for a catalog. Correcting that story cost more energy than it was worth, so I stopped. Derek is 28 and calculated in a way people mistake for charm. As a teenager, he'd stand in a doorway until the whole room adjusted around him. Mom loved that. He's just an alpha, she'd say, proud like she'd bred a show dog. When Derek ran up a $2,300 tab starting his detailing business at 19, Mom called me. "We'll pay you back in installments if you front it now," she said. I was working 2 jobs at the time. It took me 9 months of overtime to recover that money. She handed me $200 back and a hug that smelled like an apology with nothing actually inside it. The pattern wrote itself after that. If something breaks, Ethan fixes it. If something costs money, Ethan pays first. The list since then is long and unremarkable. My dad's transmission repair, twice. A vet bill for Derek's dog, Tank, an animal I'd met exactly once. A temporary phone plan for Derek that ran 8 months past when he said he'd take it over. Late fees on Mom's rent because her landlord is a bully she refuses to deal with directly. The joint account, opened for paperwork, that I meant to close 100 separate times. Last time I checked it held $3,100, my name attached, and an overdraft line linked straight to my checking because a bank employee once told her that's safer. The humiliations came in small doses first. "Don't bring the store brand soda to Christmas," Mom said once, pulling it out of my hands. "We're not poor." "I am," I said. She didn't hear me, or chose not to. At Ivy's 3rd birthday, Derek showed up late with a helium bouquet and gifts that lit up the whole living room. "You really should have ordered a real cake," he murmured. "Kids can tell when a dad bakes it himself." I cut the sheet cake I could actually afford and joked about the rustic frosting. When I finally bought a used sedan with a working heater and a trunk that fit 2 car seats and a week of groceries, Derek ran his hand over the hood and said, "Cute, when are you getting something safe?" He sent me links to SUVs with payments bigger than my rent. "Kids deserve stability," he texted, which really meant, "Your stability needs to match my image." I'm telling you all of this because when I finally said no, it wasn't about a holiday dinner. Tea was about a lifetime of favors dressed up as affection. The family group chat did what it always does after I told Derek we were out. Aunt Carol wrote, "Let's not blow this out of proportion." Mom wrote, "Breakfast tomorrow, I'll fix it." I wrote, "Not coming." Derek sent a single thumbs down emoji. I slept badly that night, not because of Christmas, but because part of me still believed I could buy my way back into their approval if I just did it right. The next morning was normal chaos. Milo lost 1 shoe. Ivy declared socks unfair. On the drive back from drop-off, I decided to move money into the bills account. So I opened my banking app. My stomach dropped straight through the floor, a pending transfer, $4,700, out of the joint account. Memo line, kids' presents. I stared at the numbers until they blurred. The joint account only held $3,100, which meant the rest came from the overdraft tied to my checking, which meant my mother had used my own credit line like a rubber band and let it snap with a smile. I screenshotted everything because I needed proof. For myself before anyone else, I called her. She answered bright and cheerful. "Hi, honey." "You moved $4,700, I said, no yelling, just stating it like weather. "Yes," she said. "Derek's kids needed presents. It's the season. The account had $3,100. I authorized the rest through the overdraft. It's all family. Don't be dramatic." "From my credit line," I said, with my name on it. "Ethan," she said, in that soft, scolding tone. "We are a family. Don't you want your nephews to have a good Christmas? Derek does so much for everyone." I pictured his color-coordinated social feed and how he turns favors into currency. I pictured my rent, due in 5 days. No, I said, reverse it. She laughed. We can't reverse Christmas. Calm down. I already moved the money. You'll be fine. It's only money. I don't remember hanging up. I remember the apartment going quiet, like a stage waiting for its next line. I looked at my legal pad, my new rules, and added 3 more. Close the joint account. Remove my mother from every account I have. Put every boundary in writing. At lunch, I sat in my truck in the school parking lot, called the bank, and learned the legal truth I'd been avoiding for years. Joint means joint, and unauthorized doesn't apply once your name is on the paper. The representative was kind. We filed a dispute on the overdraft portion, locked my profile behind extra verification, and scheduled the joint account to close once the dispute cleared. I thanked her like she'd just handed me a new language. Then I did the one thing that ever moves anything in my family. I wrote it down. 3 pages, dates, dollar amounts, plain sentences. This isn't revenge, this is closure and boundaries. Going forward, I will not provide money, access, or credit to any relative. Do not ask me for funds. Do not involve my children in adult disputes. Any violation means no contact for 6 months. I printed 12 copies, addressed everyone, and walked them to the corner mailbox like I was carrying my own spine back into place. I didn't post anything online. I licked stamps and put everything I couldn't say out loud into ink instead. That night, after the kids were asleep, Ivy starfished across her bed and Milo hugging his stuffed raccoon, I went through every account I own. Old addresses removed, shared access revoked, new pins added everywhere. When my hand shook, I washed dishes. When my head spun, I folded tiny socks. The apartment felt like a ship riding out a storm, and also like a place with a door that finally locked. I woke up to a phone that looked like a slot machine. 61 missed calls, 15 voicemails, a family group chat convulsing in real time. Mom, call me right now. Derek, you humiliated me with that letter. Fix this. Aunt Carol, we don't sue family. Nobody said sue. Uncle Ray, who texts twice a year, your mother is very upset. Be reasonable. Cousin Sam, dude, wow. My father, at 2 a.m, proud of you. About time. I stared at that last one until my eyes burned, then flipped the phone face down and made pancakes shaped like snowflakes. Sometimes the only thing you can control is whether breakfast feels friendly. At 9 that morning, Mom escalated in person, the knock and voice combo through my door. Honey, open up. This is silly. I opened it because in my family, hiding is a trap of its own. She walked in wearing perfume and judgment, her eyes counting the thrift store lamp and dish rack like line items on a receipt. She held my letter, crumpled, then smoothed flat like she'd tried to make it disappear and changed her mind. This is dramatic, she said, shaking the paper at me. It's specific, I said. You accused me of stealing, she said, hand pressed to her chest. You moved $4,700 without asking, I said. $3,100 from an account with my name. $1,600 from a credit line with my name, for Derek's kids, with a memo attached. I'll pay it back, she said. When? I asked. With what? She blinked, recalculating. You don't understand how hard it is being a mother. Derek is drowning. His business is slow. 3 kids, Ethan. Then help him, I said, with your own money. This is about control for you, she said. You like withholding things. This is about my rent, I said. Saying no to theft isn't withholding. Her mouth went thin. Don't use that word. Then stop doing the thing the word describes, I said. She shifted tactics, voice softening. Honey, just give me the login. Let me manage your bills so you don't have to worry. Relief flickered through me like an old reflex, my body remembering being 10 years old and handing over my allowance for safekeeping. Then I pictured the memo line. I don't need that kind of help, I said. I need privacy and respect. You're just like your father, she hissed. Good, I said. She left in a cloud of perfume and heavy sighing. The quiet afterward felt earned. At noon, Derek tried the door, found it locked, and called immediately. Open up, he said. No, I said. You mailed letters, he said, incredulous. Who mails actual letters like a sheriff? People who get ignored in group chats, I said. You owe me access, he snapped. I have 3 kids. Do you understand logistics? I have 2, I said. I understand plenty. Then stop being selfish. Give me the login. No, I said. You'd really let your own kids miss Christmas over a password, he demanded. Yes, I said, steady, we're out. Enjoy your sad little dinner then, he said. I will, I said, and ended the call. That evening, I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and we watched a movie about a fox who stopped letting everyone else decide who his enemies were supposed to be. Ivy sniffled at the ending. Milo fell asleep halfway through his own sentence. I carried them to bed and felt taller, like my spine had remembered its original shape. Near midnight, I checked the bank app again. Dispute under review, joint account pending closure, my profile flagged for in-person changes only. It wasn't a win yet. It was scaffolding. This isn't revenge. This is closure, I said out loud to the dark kitchen, rehearsing the line I knew I'd need again tomorrow. The people who benefited most from your lack of boundaries are always the first to call your boundary cruelty. By morning, the story had already been rewritten without me in the room. We forgive you. Come talk to us. Don't be so dramatic. You made Mom cry. Family isn't a courtroom. You were always the cold one. The volume was the entire point. Keep me busy responding so I'd stop holding the line. I put my phone in the drawer with the dish towels. I texted once, "We're doing our own holiday. Please don't come by." Then turned off read receipts because I refused to be a performance for anyone. At the park that afternoon, our breath came out in little cartoon clouds. Ivy did cartwheels in her puffy coat. Milo found the perfect stick and turned me into a frog 3 separate times. I performed the croak like my rent depended on it, and honestly, it kind of did. Around 4:30, my friend Jordan showed up with a pie and forearms built for hauling couches. He took one look at my face and said, "So, boundaries?" "Clean cut," I told him, and walked him through the $4,700, the memo line, the letters, the locked door. He whistled. "I'm sorry," he said. "I'm not," I said, and meant it. "You flipped the house rules," he said, sliding the pie into the oven. "Expect some plates to get thrown." "I'm tired of paying the replacement fee on plates I never threw," I said. Priya came by to grab the kids for her night. "Your mother called me," she said. "Apparently I've corrupted you with outside influence. I told her I'm the only outsider who actually shows up for these kids, and I support this boundary completely." She hung up on me, Priya said. "Sorry," I said out of habit. "Stop apologizing for parenting," she said. "I'm proud of you." The kids grabbed their coats and the raccoon backpack, and the apartment felt too big after the door shut, then instantly the right size again. At 8 that night, the building fire alarm screamed, and we all spilled into the hallway in pajamas, burnt cookies from the unit next door. False alarm. But we laughed together like neighbors who'd survived something small side by side. Good practice for ignoring sirens that had nothing to do with me. At 10:12, I made the mistake of checking my phone one more time. "Mom, we're coming over in the morning to talk. Don't overreact." That phrase, "don't overreact," opens every old door in my chest at once. My heartbeat went sideways. I pictured her and Derek at my door with their "we just want to talk" faces and a truckload of guilt. I pictured saying yes because yes is quieter. Then I pictured the memo line again, and I didn't sleep. At 3:30 in the morning, I made tea and opened an email from my landlord. The unit next door, 5B, had just opened up unexpectedly. Same layout, same rent, move in immediately. At 3:42, the plan landed in my lap like something I was finally allowed to accept. At 7, I called the landlord. "If I take 5B, can I get keys today?" "Bring the deposit by noon and it's yours," he said. "Done," I said. At 8:15, I texted Jordan. "Bring the forearms." He sent back a flexing arm, and I love firm but ethical. At 8:45, I booked a locksmith for a same-day recce on both units. "Emergency?" the dispatcher asked. "Boundary," I said. By 10, we were moving like we were robbing the place ourselves. Box by box, book by book, coat rack, lamp, the dinosaur blanket, every piece of Ivy's taped-up artwork. I rebuilt the kids' rooms like stage sets, same layout, mirrored. I wanted their world to feel like ours with better locks, not like a witness protection program. At 12:30, the locksmith finished and handed me 2 clean sets of keys and a receipt. "You're positive on rekeying both units?" he asked. "Positive," I said. At 1 o'clock, I left the old keys on the old counter with a note that said, "Not here anymore." I stood in the empty doorway and felt grief and lightness at exactly the same time. That apartment had been a good little ship. It had also been far too easy to walk into. At 1:15, my phone went feral. Mom, we're outside. Open up. Mom, Ethan. Derek, I swear to God if you make me stand out here. I stared at the messages and hovered my thumb over mute. Then I walked to my new door and turned the deadbolt, and it made a sound I wanted tattooed on my ribs, knocking through the wood. Honey. Open the door. The soft voice, then the hard voice. We know you're in there. I could see their shadows moving at the base of the door. I could hear my nephew asking a question, then saying he needed the bathroom, and for 1 second I nearly opened it because small kids shouldn't have to wait. Then I remembered the memo line, the overdraft, Ivy asking if reindeer wear scarves, Milo declaring that doors were important. I texted Mom, please leave. Unbelievable, she wrote back, you're destroying this family. I typed, I'm protecting mine, didn't send it, deleted it, set the phone face down on the counter. They knocked for a long time. I made a sandwich and ate it standing up at the counter, like nothing outside that door existed. At 1:48, the knocking finally stopped. At 1:49, Aunt Carol texted, she says you moved, is that true? I didn't answer. At 1:51, my dad texted, want help moving? 10 minutes too late, but I noted it. At 6 that evening, Priya dropped the kids back off. Smells like fresh paint, she said, stepping into 5B. Smells like a locked door, I said. Ivy ran straight to her new room and froze in the doorway. It's the same room but flipped, she said, delighted. Milo tested the new deadbolt 3 separate times. Important, he announced each time. We made the gingerbread reindeer rolls. One came out looking like a potato wearing antlers. We named him Sir Reginald. We watched a parade rerun on TV and yelled left at a balloon that could not possibly hear us. My phone buzzed in the drawer like a wasp that refused to quit. After bedtime, I checked it. 74 missed calls, over a dozen voicemails, a stack of texts all circling the same idea, be bigger by making yourself smaller. I put the phone away and sat on the hallway floor outside the kids' rooms, listening to them breathe, proof the whole decision had been correct. It felt like finishing a hard run and realizing the soreness is exactly where new muscle grows in. Christmas morning, frost lacing the windows, Ivy and Milo tunneled under my blanket like small raccoons with diplomas. Are we going to Grandma's? Ivy asked, careful. No, I said. We're doing pancakes shaped like snowflakes, yelling at a parade rerun, and walking down by the creek, then coming home to eat way too many reindeer rolls. Do the balloons hear us? Milo asked. Absolutely, I said. That's exactly how they steer. We did all of it. We yelled left until the dinosaur balloon obeyed, which is basically science. We saw a dog in a tiny sweater and decided he was mayor of the neighborhood. We waved at the daytime moon because the moon likes being included too. We came home with cold noses and warm hands. At noon, I checked the bank app. The overdraft dispute showed credited pending final review and the joint account showed closed. I looked at that word twice because I didn't fully trust my own eyes. Relief moved through me like a knot finally letting go behind my sternum. My dad texted a photo of a brisket the size of a suitcase. Saved you a plate, no pressure. Maybe tomorrow, I wrote back. He sent a thumbs up. We're both learning a new language where love doesn't come with an invoice attached. We ate at the little table that fits exactly 3 chairs and a plate of reindeer rolls and said what we were grateful for. Ivy said, pens that still have ink in them. Milo said, doors that lock. I said, getting to choose what our family actually feels like. After they were asleep, I wrote one more letter, this one just for me. I am not a wallet, I wrote. I am not a spare door. I am a father who gets to be boring about boundaries and loud about pancakes. I am someone who can love people and still say no. I signed it, dated it, and filed it with the kids' birth certificates, where the important proof lives. Over the following days, the calls slowed down, not because anyone suddenly understood, just because knuckles get sore eventually. Social media posts shifted from concerned prayers to memes. Derek's last message read, you pretend not to care, we all know you do. He's right, I care deeply. I just stopped paying rent money for the privilege. The following Monday, I walked into the bank in person with my license and a copy of my own letter folded in my pocket like a talisman. I added a note to my file, no changes without me, in person. with photo ID. The teller smiled and asked if it had been a rough holiday. A good one, I told her, my first real one. That afternoon, my mailbox held a card with no return address. Inside was a check for $250 and a sticky note that read, "For that thing I never paid back. Love, Mom." I logged it into my old spreadsheet, underpaid. Maybe there's more coming, maybe there isn't. My life doesn't need to be a cliffhanger anymore. Here's the part I wish somebody had told me years earlier. Family works like a shared ledger, and it becomes a curse the moment you let someone else hold the pen. The phrase, "don't make this about money," is always a trick, especially when money is exactly what's being taken. Closure looks like letters mailed, accounts closed, locks changed, and a phone left quiet in a drawer. Boundaries look boring from the outside. From the inside, they feel like the first clean breath in years. I'm not handing over my keys again. Not the bank, not the front door, not my peace. I can love my mother and still keep my login private. I can love my brother from a little further down the hallway than he'd prefer. I can wave at the moon with my kids and let 74 calls ring straight into a quiet drawer. I'm done paying interest on debts that were never mine to begin with. I'm done being the background adult in everyone else's emergency. I'm building a new ledger now. Pancakes, parades, walks by the creek, doors that click shut, kids who list locked doors as something they're grateful for. I balance it every night with the same two lines. We are enough. We are safe.